I'll be going over the Surface Modeling tab. We're going to start with Extrude Line. It has two different functions. I'm going over the first function right now. For this function to work, you must have two separate curves. If you look over in the scene tree, these are two separate. As you look over here on the canvas or the viewer, whatever you want to call it, I have two different curves perpendicular to one another. As you can see, this round circle shape is on the floor grid. Then this next line up here, which is the profile. Alright, if you need to select the shape first, then you turn around and select the extrude line, then you select the profile. Don't matter where you select it, you might want to select kind of high so you don't select anything else down here. And that's how that works. And if you look at my cursor, I got a plus and minus sign by it, and I have a white circle to the top and one to the bottom. If I click them, the red indicates that I closed the gap. Okay, now this is the basic how it works. Now let's back this up and let's see if we can understand it a little bit better. Alright, I'm going to see if I can help you understand it without confusing you. Alright, you don't need to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and get a copy of this profile here. We're going to just set this to the side for right now. Alright, now I have the shape down here. You can use any shape that you want. It don't have to be a circle. When I set this up, I want you to look at the grid here. This grid has a crosshair, a white crosshair that's going right to left. And you can see I have it going straight up and down. As you notice, the center of my circle, which is the yellow cube, is in the middle of the crosshair. And I'll show you why this is kind of important. So let's go back, and I'm going to be using some hotkeys on the numeric pad, or the numpad on the very far right. I'm going to be using front and top view. If you see it switching quite a bit, so back to front view. Alright, let's take a look. Now that crosshair in my the cube here is actually the center, and this white line is actually considered the halfway mark. And let me explain that. Like I said, look at the manipulator here. It's right on the line. This is the halfway mark. Now if we look, and we're going to go to the left here, how many grids, square grids, we got on the left that will meet to the halfway mark? We got 1, 2. Now when we use this extrude line, it will mirror it on the other side with equal value. So if I have 2 on the left, it'll do 2 on the right. And the top should land right here. Let's take a look at that. So I'll make sure the shape selected first, and profile it. And we're going to count here. Alright, we got, let's count them again, 1, 2 on the left, and now we're going to have 1, 2 on the right. Alright, you can see I got my profile up here. Let's turn that other one back on, and actually they are the same. This one here, you can select it and you can edit it if you want. Now I'm just going to go ahead and delete all this and go to the next step. Alright, what would be a good way to say we was going to select the circle here and lay it flat on the plane here on the grid? Well, actually, the best way would be go to the View tab, and we'd go to the top view. Like I said, here's that white crosshair that I'm going to use for a reference. And I want to land it right in the middle here. So I'll select the circle, and I'm going to hold the shift key down, and it's going to snap to the center there. And I'm going to click. It actually did two things. One, it snapped to the center, and two, it snapped to the bottom of the plane. So if I click it here, let's roll this back down to almost a front view. As you can see, it's flat on the plane. I'll press the hotkey for exactly front view, as you can see there. Now here's where something could cause you a problem if you didn't hold the shift key down on the center there. I'm just going to abort that. Let's say for some reason I was doing something later. Let's say I was clicking, I was doing some of this. Okay, I want you to notice where I first click, then where I end click. Well, basically where I end click. Alright, I clicked it right here, and this is two lines up. I'm going to abort that. Now every time that I select something, it's gonna, you'll see my two indicator lines. If I watch, I'll press it, and it's wanting to snap. There's my indicator line. So if for some reason I was go over to the view and go back over to the top view without holding the shift key down, let's say I was just to select here and go, it appears that it's on the ground, but when I turn it face forward, and I'm gonna go ahead and go to view front. Remember, it went 1, 2 up. It's not on the floor grid like it's supposed to be. So we'll abort that. And like I said, if you select anything, you'll notice it'll pop right over here, my indicator lines. And we can solve that by just switching to the camera view, then back over here again. And next time I select anything, it'll select right down here in the bottom. It's not selecting anything, but my indicators will go down there. As you can see, now they're down here. Now we're going to go back over to the top view. To do it right now, remember, we're going to hold the shift key down. We're going to select the center. You can always keep an eye over here on these values here. Usually the 000 means you're right dead center. So I'll select here, and I'm going to drag out. And I'll just validate it. Now let's take a look at this circle. Now this circle has the way I'm looking at it, has a top and a bottom. And it also has a left side and a right side. Back to top view. Okay, now what this thing, how it works best is it works on the center of where this circle's at. But this circle needs to be cut in half. Where would be the halfway mark? Well, it would be this little white line here in the crosshair from left to right, because we need to cut the top and the bottom apart. We're not actually cutting them apart, we're just kind of imagining that we are, because this is where the profile is very important at. It needs to start in the center of the top and bottom. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to select the polyline here. Well, I got lucky because there's a point over here, and I can just shift click to that, click it once. I'm going to press the hotkey to go in the front view, and there we go. Now this is going to be my profile that I'm going to be using. Important thing is, I know this white line is my halfway mark. Do not go over the halfway mark. This will give you some bad results and it won't work right. As long as you don't cross it over here or try going below down here, you'll be alright. So you could select here, here, here. Now let's take a look. Let's tilt this down just a little bit. As you can see, there's my circle. My profile landed halfway between the top and bottom. So this will work. As long as the shape selected first on the bottom, select here and here. We'll go to front view again. We'll just abort that. And I'll just make a copy of this just to show you one more time. Select the shape. And as you can see, there's our profile. I'm going to delete this and I'm going to go over the next step. Alright, going to go over this next step. Going to go back into the top view mode. Now, I'm going to go over this circle one more time with you and show you something just a little bit different. We're going to hold the shift key down, snap to it, drag out, and click. The last time when I made the profile to here, I needed to make it in between the top and the bottom, the halfway mark, which would be this crosshair. And since I'm working on the left side, it would have been right here. And I got lucky last time because the point landed right on it. Alright, let's do a demonstration where I wouldn't get lucky with that. So we'll delete that. Let's say we select a rectangle. Let's say I'm gonna select I'll select here, drag out. As you can see, my center cube needs to be in the crosshair here, so I'm gonna have to adjust it. And if I'm looking over here on the left, the halfway mark from the top and the bottom, there ain't nothing I can really snap it to because there ain't no point on this rectangle. Sure, I can insert a point and that would work, but let's say I didn't want to do that. We'll just go ahead and delete that. Then we're going to go to front view mode. Alright, just for sake, we're going to go ahead and press the camera on, then turn it back to XYZ. And that's going to make it every time that the red and green indicator will align down here in the center crosshairs. So I select my polyline. Now I'm going to go ahead and just tip this a little bit. I want you to keep an eye on these parameters over here on the right and the properties. I'm going to hold my shift key down and I'm going to snap to the center. Now this ain't always accurate. It will snap to this floor grid pretty close. It's not real sensitive. So if I click here and hold the shift key down, the crosshair comes up, but it didn't snap to it. Look at the parameters on the right till I get closer. Look at them, they're 0, 0, 0. Alright, I'm going to let off the shift key. As you see, the parameter on the right is at 0, the very far right one, so I'm going to tap the space bar. I'm not going to click, and I tap the space bar. This has locked me in from left to right, but I'm still at 0, 0, 0. Let's go into the front view mode with a hotkey. Now I need to find a place that I'm going to start. I can start on the left or I can start on the right. I'll start here on the left. I'll click one time. Now I'm going to need to hit the space bar twice to unlock me because I'm still locked in the left and right even if I move my cursor up and down. Tap it twice. Now I'm free floating again. As long As long as I don't cross this halfway mark, because I'm going to use this as my reference right here. I'll just click here, here, here. Alright, now we're going to switch back to the rectangle. Alright, I know the bottom of this profile here is at 0 level. Not 0, 0, 0, but it's at 0. But I'll just hold the shift key down and snap to that point. It's at the ground plane level, put it that way. Then I'll let go and drag out. If you look between, as I got as a square right now, you see that green circle there? That is the new center point. It's actually the halfway mark, which would be the same as this the white line in this grid is. Now the green circle is the new halfway point. You would not want it to the left side of the profile. As you can see, the last place of the profile, you wouldn't want it to the left, you'd want it to the right. But I can still use this this cross here that's going up and down the halfway mark as my halfway mark if I line the green dot up with it. So it don't matter, just as long as it stays on the line. So I'll just click here. Alright, now you see I got my rectangle, and I need my profile between the top and the bottom. So I'll turn it over here. I've got my universal manipulator on, so I'll be able to select a corner of this handle and hold the shift key down so it'll snap like it's facing the plane. Now we'll switch back over the profile, and I'm going to select this bottom point here. As you can see, it's 0. If I move it up and down, you can see it moving. I'll Control Z that. It's at 0. So I'm going to select my rectangle here, and all I need to do is set that at 0. Alright, now let's take a look at that rectangle now. There's the top, here's the bottom, and look, it automatically set the profile right on the halfway mark. So now all we need to do is just go ahead and select the shape first, Extrude Line, and there you go. And I'll Control Z this here. I'll just go ahead and delete this. Another way that you can do it is you can do it like this. I'll snap to here. As you can see right here, I'll just snap right here. I'm on the grid, so I'll be alright. And I'll select right here. Let's double check that measurement down here. Oh, off just a little bit. We'll just set that to 0. No problem. I wasn't fully accurate on it, but I can also, let's say, select the circle again, hold the shift key down, and snap here to the center, and I'll let off the shift key. Then I'm going to hold the shift key down and snap it to this last point and click it. Now when I turn it, you might get some uncommon result. It might work right, it might not. It didn't do nothing. Sometimes it flips, sometimes it don't. You can do it, just validate it. Hold the shift key down, and you can see it's perfect on it. And we just select that. Here's where it probably messed up on you. Let's go ahead and delete this just to show you. Where you could mess up if you didn't hold the shift key down. If you start, I'm not holding the shift key down, I'm kind of starting kind of high. And if I hold the shift key over here, look at my center point. It's actually not in the crosshairs. So when I turn it, and we go back to front view mode, now it's tipped up, because the reason why it tipped up is because the center of the circle is not level with the bottom of this profile going across here. So if I was to do this, it would just be tipped up. That's some kind of do's and don'ts. Alright, I'm going to show you how to add some volume. Maybe a little bit different way how to set this up too. It's a lot easier for me. I just like doing it like this. Select the circle. Even though my red and green indicators here, you know, I used to switch the cameras. It really don't matter. It's your preference. I can still shift snap down here. And I'll just select this out like this. Validate it. Turn it around. Hold the shift key down. Snap it in there. Back to front view mode. We'll tip it. And we'll reach over to the side. Back to front view mode. And start making our profile. Okay, this is when it starts adding volume, is when you start coming back down the line. Each time I click, that's a good point where you can alter it later. So I've been clicking, and I'll just double click to validate it. Select the shape, validate it, select the shape one more time, and we're going to go into auto select mode, and my transparency is on. You won't see it yet because I'm in select object mode. So when I select here, you can see it, and I can edit it. I need to double click over on the left side here a little bit, and now I'll be able to adjust the inside of the bowl. Make sure I'm in front view mode here so you can see a little bit better. Or I can adjust the outside of it. This is what adds volume to it as you look inside it. So that's how you add volume. There's actually a lot you can do with this. I'll go over this one more thing here, then to the last step about this tool here. As you can see, I got a circle here, then the line or the profile, and it's split apart, and then I got this little star one here. And there's all kinds of things that you can do with it. So I'll select this one here, and we'll validate it, go up to the next one. There's all kinds of little neat things you can do with it. Alright, we'll go ahead and go to the next step. And we can also use it with a single curve here. I'll select it here. I'm going to click it here, and there's going to be a bunch of properties over here on the right. Instead of clicking them, I'm just going to tap space bar, and this is going to let me cycle through each one. If I tap the space bar, I go to the next one over. As you can see, I got this taper down here selected. Allows me to set the taper twist or value to at the last step. So let me just show you that. So I'm going straight up. I'll click, tap space bar, click, tap the space bar a couple times so it goes straight up, and I'll click it there, tap the space bar, and I'll just kind of bevel it out like this. I'll double click at the end. Double click don't validate on this one here. Move my cursor in here, use my scroll wheel and my mouse, which will twist it. As you can see it twisting. You got other options up here, the taper, type the value in, set it back. Just all kinds of good things you can do with it. Alright, we'll go over the sweep line here. This won't take too long. As you can see, these are two curves perpendicular. I got my square and this bent line here. It does matter which order you click them in, so I want to click my shape first, select the sweep line, select the line, and as you can see it's got the options over here as I want to taper it, and if I wanted to twist it, I just put my mouse in there and just scroll with my wheel. And if you notice when I do the tapering, it's I can only taper at one end. I can show you how to fix that. We'll just go ahead and abort that, and we're going to select this line again. This is the reverse to curve here, which is in the line tab here. And when I select it, the little white line circle came over here. We're going to select the opposite end. That's all we need to do. Select back on the square. Now when we go to taper it, it tapers the other end. See, it's over on this end here. Just to recap it one more time, just to show you. I need to select the opposite end where the circle's at. That's done. Select the shape. And there it goes for that. And you can also do it with, we'll just select little circle here, then we can sweep this here. And just click as you go along. And again, as this, you can just tap the space bar to cycle through. We're going over ruled surface here. Ruled surface. I got a bunch of separate lines out here, and we'll select it. And we'll select this one here. I can select across the top or the bottom, and it don't matter, so I'll select here. And if I wanted to go my last one over here, I'd move from left to right, so I select here. And I'll select here. And we'll just go ahead and hide that one, and let's move this over. Now, these are a bunch of closed lines that are closed, and when we select the ruled surface, we need to select them in order and not, let's say if I was going to select on top of this, I got this E here, the letter E. I'd always, if I wanted select at this point, I want to select each one in the same spot. If not, I'll end up getting some crossover, which would look all twisted up. So let me just select here. I'll select here. That way I don't get any crossover, so I'll just validate that. And we'll close all the holes here. Let me move this to the side so we can see a little bit better. So basically that's how that works. A ruled surface works with multiple lines. We're going to go over the double sweep. This makes surfaces or surfaces with volume in it. And as you can see, the one that's selected is my section. And as you can see over here, these are my profiles. So we must select the section first, select the double sweep, and we can have some options over there. Then we'll just validate when we're done. I'll just add some thickness to this. And that's basically how that works. We'll go ahead and delete this one. Here is another one. A circle is my section, and I got two profiles with this one, top one and the bottom one. We'll select the section here and use a double sweep. We'll select the top and the bottom, and I had paused the video and added some color to it real quick. And that's basically how that works. We're going to go over the Coon Surface here. Same thing I got over here. This works with several different lines or curves, long as they're jointed or a single closed curve. So let me demonstrate this real quick. I'm going to select the polyline. I'm just going to go into the top view mode real quick. And I'm going to select a couple spots here. Alright, to make it connecting, we're going to select I'm going to select another one here. To make it connecting, all we need to do is hold the shift key down and connect it. Don't use these options over here. We'll just hold this one here. And I'll continue. To make it connecting, hold the shift key. And I'll add one here. And one more down the side. Hold the shift key to make it connected. Now they're all separate in here, but they're jointed, so they're connected lines. So now I just need to go to the Coon Surface here and select around the lines. And we'll go to the top view mode. Bend this down just a little bit. Double click. We can adjust the edges. Slide things over. And when I'm done, let me do a little bit more adjustment over here. I'll just collapse geometry. And I want to select in this hood here, and I'm going to loop it. I'm going to bring this up a little bit. A little soft selection there. That was a little too much. Let's tone this down a little bit. That looks good there. We'll just turn this off. And that's how that works. Now remember that these were separate lines, but they were jointed. That's when I was holding the shift key down. Let's delete this. And now we're going to do one with a closed curve. Let me give you a demonstration with, let's say, a cylinder here. Let me get back into top view mode here. Let me delete that one, start right over, and let me get another one right here so you can see just a little bit better. I'll put, let's say 12 points on this. And I'm going to go ahead and select the edge here, and I'm going to loop it. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it. Now I'm going to hide it so I don't select it. Now this is a closed curve. So I'm going to select the Coon Surface and click it. Then I'm going to collapse the dynamic geometry. We'll go ahead and unhide the other one. And we'll go to the vertex modeling, and we're just going to go ahead and weld this. Weld off. And I like sometimes do the average weld on here. Leave it at default just to make sure everything's all going good here. And we'll just go ahead and divide it. As you can see, from the top to the side, got a nice little flow going there with the edges. So that's how the Coon surface works. Just go ahead and delete that one there. I'm going to be going over the Gordon surface here, and this works with several profiles and 2 sections, and I'll explain them here. And let me go over to the line tab here. Now I need to make some profiles. I need to make them somewhat longitude, somewhere in the up and down area. So I'll just go ahead and, let's say, click here, click here, and click here. Now I'm just going to go ahead and mirror this one here, so I'll just make sure that do not connects on, and I'll just mirror that to the other side. And the reason why I'm doing that is it works best if you have each one of these lines have the same number of points. It works way better if you do it like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and hold the shift key down and select this one here. And on the keyboard, I'm going to control C that, or CTL, RLC. Control C that, I mean. That's going to copy it, and control V. That's going to make a duplicate set. And I go to front view. Now these are my profiles that are longitude. Now I need to make what they call sections. The sections would be over the top and one for the bottom. Alright, I'm going to select the polyline. It's recommended that you snap all these by holding the shift key and basically connecting these lines all the way around. Alright, I have a somewhat square shape up there, which is my section. Alright, I'm going to select a different shape. I'm going to use this 3-point circle here. As you can see, it's got 3 points on there. So this is pretty good for if you want to match things up. Alright, I'm going to hold the shift key down and select down here and let go. And then I'm going to move across and hold the shift key down. That's point 2. And I'm going to over point 3. Now, like I said, this thing asks you to connect them all together. But if you look close enough, let me zoom way in here so you can see this. As you can see, if I got some points here that actually don't match up, or actually a couple of them. Sure, I can turn it where they'll line up, but it throws the other ones off. It's going to do its best to calculate it. Let me zoom in just a little bit better so you can just see one right here. You can see right here. It's going to do its best to calculate it. You don't have to have it on it, but we'll see what's going to happen. Alright, this is pretty cool because now we got a circle shape and a somewhat rectangle shape on the top. So let's go ahead and select the Coon Surface. Now I'm going to select the profiles first. I'll just select them in order here. They'll turn red as you select them. Alright, at this time you need to press the enter key on the keyboard. And when you do this, I'll click it now or press it. It appears nothing happened. Alright, now I need to select the sections here, which would be the top and bottom. Alright, now look, the red ones are the profiles and the green ones are now the sections, and we have two different shapes. At this time we're going to press the enter key on the keyboard, and we'll tip this a little bit back here, and we'll just turn this down like this. And this kind of resembles the shape of the head on a hairdryer, it looks like to me. Let's scoot this back a little bit. Now I can alter this if I want to by just selecting here and doing whatever I want to do to it. Just Control Z that. I'm just going to go ahead and collapse geometry on this. And I'll just go ahead and let me just select the edges and loop this out. Just hold the Control key down. So there we have it, head of a hairdryer. And also we got two different shapes, rectangle on the front and the circle on the back. And we'll subdivide that, see what it looks like. And let's see if we can add a little thickness to there. And we'll validate it. Alright, we're going to go over the Boolean Operation. And what I have here is my chair, and I have a line here, silhouette of a little rabbit. And I'm going to cut a hole through the chair of the silhouette of the rabbit. We'll select the chair first, which is active. Then we'll select the Boolean Operation. You can see it's ready to cut, and I'll select the rabbit. Now it has different options up here. I could go through each one of these, but it's just best for you just to for yourself just to click through each one to see which one does. But I know what this one does here, so I'll select it. As you can see, now I have the silhouette of the rabbit inside the chair. So I'll validate that. Now I can use I can just double click it, and you can see that gives me some more options. I'm going to use the stretch tool here. As you can see, I can move the rabbit around. You can also do it from the back side here. Sometimes it will disappear on you. You Control Z that. That's why I rather just do it from this side here. Let's turn this about right here and just kind of zoom in. And I can also select, let's say, on this nose here, and I'm going to give him a little nose over here. And just go to the edge. And let me just select the edge right here. And give him a little nose up there. And I can bring down the top of the ear. And I'll just validate it when I'm done. I'm just going to collapse the geometry. As you can see, now the rabbit's inside the chair. Alright, I got a cube here and a sphere. And I'm going to use this sphere here to not actually cut a hole all the way through it, but kind of contour the shape into it. So with the box selected first, we're going to select the Boolean Operation, then select the sphere, and we'll select the options over here. Now I'm going to go ahead and double click in here. As you can see, I got some of these object over in the dynamic geometry, and this was started with the full DG mode. So now you need to select one of these forms here. One is for the box and one is for the sphere. Now if I try clicking one, nothing's going to happen. It's just sitting there and it won't let me select it. It is because I need to move my cursor on the left side of the name here, and he's got this little these little lines that come down, and if you select on these lines here, then it's easy to select. You can actually right click or left click these lines. I just right click that one. Now this indicates that I can just move the sphere here. I'll double click so you can see that. Alright, now I'm going to double click to activate it. Now this time I'm just going to select the box. And actually I can move the box along to adjust it from there. And we'll just double click out here to exit out. So I'll recap again. Select on the line. Move it where I want it. See how deep I want it. And we can also use a stretch tool if we want to do any kind of altering. And we'll zoom that up so you can see a little bit better. And that's how the Boolean operation works. We're going to be going over the thickness here. And I'll select it. And we got some options, and it's highlighted for the outside. This is going to add thickness to the outside where I started. So as you can see, it's going out like this. And if I switch back, let's bring this down just a little bit. Again, add thickness to the inside. So this is a real handy little tool here. And you can also add thickness to any kind of line. We'll use this as a sample here. And add how many points you want. And that's how you add thickness to a line. Alright, we're going to be going over the offset. We need something to offset, so I'll kind of select a circle here. As you can see over here in the scene tree, I got one curve. I'm just going to extrude that out here by holding the control key down. And it usually makes a backup copy of the original curved line here. So if I hide this, you can see there's my backup copy. We'll just go ahead and delete that because we don't need that. Okay, now we're going to unhide this one and select it. Alright, we're going to go to the offset. Now this set to the outside. This works like the thickness, this option up here, but it don't connect them. So I'm going to hold my mouse button down. As you can see, it adds thickness to the outside or the inside, whatever I choose. You're not going to see any results until I validate it. So I'm going to make it here, then I'm going to validate it. Now I have two of them. And you can see I got them over here. Now here's a pretty good tip. I ran into this problem when I first started using Hexagon. When I'm over here trying to select something, as you can see, I'm clicking and nothing is happening. I could select the object out here, but if you move your cursor over to the left of the name, it'll select it. I don't know why that does that, but it's a lot easier if you just click them in here. Just follow where my cursor's at. And I'm just going to go ahead and close these up with the ruled surface, and I'll validate that. And I'll select it again. And that's the basic idea of the offset. Like I said, it works just like the thickness, but it don't connect them. We're going to go over the chamfer here. There's two options you can do with this, and I guess I pronounced it right, chamfer. And for this little sample here, I'm just going to press all here, chamfer all, so you can see it. Okay, now this tool lets you bevel edges, and you can do that by using this here. Now we got the range here. The more that I add will be the tighter these corners will stay if I try subdividing it. It's not a good idea to set your range high, because if you later subdivide it, you'll end up probably quadrupling these lines, and it's gonna be too dense. So you want to keep this kind of low. Alright, then we got this local radius setting here. Now this will let you select a corner and adjust it. So I'll select here, and I can select here and set the radius and range for that corner there. or I'll just go ahead and select this one. I'll just go ahead and hold the shift key down and select both of them at once. As you can see there. Just go ahead and abort that there. And the other way is we can go ahead and select, I'm going to hold my mouse button down on this edge, and I'm going to select around the top here. Now with these already selected, as soon as I select the chamfer, these are already active for the top. I can also select one and deselect one by select it here, it deselect it, click it again, it selected it. You can also do it down here. I'll select it all again. Now, like I said, do not set the range up too high. Here is the weld option. It just joins these objects, so I'll just select it. I can select all. As you can see, the one that's active is where the little green circle here is. And I can just select, when I click over here, keep an eye on the scene over here. Then I just wanted to join these two here, and then we'll just validate it. Now you can see, now they're joined together. And if I wanted to just go ahead and join them back all, I just, as you can see in the scene tree, now they're all joined. Be careful with this, because there's the only way to get this to get them back apart is like undos, and there's some other options, but just be very careful, because it pretty much permanently welds them together. Now, don't weld them at the vertices and the edges, it just welds them as a single object. And last but not least, we'll go over the smoothing, and I'm going to go over the we're going to be using the Catmull Clark subdivision, and we're going to use the brake with it, and we're going to set this up a little bit here to, let's say, number 4. And let me bring this where you can see it a little bit better. I'll just select the edge here, and what it's going to do is going to break it so it pops out. So I can have sharper edges or smoother edges. As you can move around down the line here. Now let me go ahead and finish this up real quick. You can also select one by clicking it, and if you click it again, it adds it back up there. Let me bring this down so you can see it. I click the here, and that's basically how that works. The end.